FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise. Hi everyone. Hi, this is Crystal Gore. I'm the founder and the chair of FESIG, and I have with me Pontus Hefscher, who is the head of the R&D of FESIG, and we have the chairperson of the R&D of FESIG, Dr. Fresel. We are missing James Rink today, who's on the board with us as well, because he's off to a seaside resort enjoying himself far away from home. Right, so folks, welcome to FESIG's 104th meeting. Today is the 7th of September. And here is the PowerPoint presentation for this meeting, where I'll be sharing on screen the agenda. Okay. And as I was saying, you could go to our website, truevisionapiece.com/FESIG.html to learn all about us. And we are a platform where science meets spirit. And we invite some of the most brilliant minds on the planet who would talk about anything from free energy to healing, technology and science, meeting with spirit and disclosure intel information, which we've just done with Ismael Perez in our first session. So it is this platform that we offer to you so you can hop in to learn along with us as well, with all these brilliant minds who are bringing information, technology, science, whatever that we need to develop to free ourselves. Right. So as I was saying, that the agenda of this meeting is here on the screen. The first session we just completed with Ismael Perez, who was talking about humanity's great awakening and what's going on the planet, our ascension. And we had some brilliant questions asked as well in the Q&A session, although it was a little rushed, but I think he did cover quite a lot of stuff that we want to know about, and that's wonderful. So now we have done that. We had adjourned this first session to the second session, which is just about to start, with Dr. Harvey Charles Kaplan, who is a returning speaker, and he'll be talking about the future transparent aluminum decontamination cryptocurrency, which will promote the demilitarization of our planet Earth by buying and burning up all of the available radioactive uranium and plutonium fuel in the numerous already decommissioned nuclear weapons around the globe, and soon to be manufactured HCK, Harvey Charles Kaplan, electrostatic fusion reactors. So once we have finished our Q&A session with Harvey, then we'll adjourn the meeting to our next meeting, which is going to be the 105th FESIG meeting. That will be on the 5th of October, 2022. Please pen it down into your diary. And if you want to join us, go to our website, truevisionapiece.com/FESIG.html and click on the Join Us button, and you'll be automatically put in the database where you will receive a newsletter once a month. And the newsletter is an invitation to join our meetings as well, with all the details of who our speakers are going to be and what they're going to talk about. So you will get all-in-one just once a month. So we are not spamming you in any way whatsoever. And do subscribe to all our video channels, YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, and join us on our Telegram group, t.me/FESIG_group. Thank you for being with us today and patiently awaiting the speakers to turn up. So that's it on the agenda of the meeting. And I would like to introduce Dr. Harvey Charles Kaplan to you. Dr. Harvey Charles Kaplan, PhD, CEO, Director of Research at KH Technologies Incorporated, Chicago. Chemistry, Physics, and Biology at Harvard University. MD degree from Medical College of Virginia and did a residency in Diagnostic Radiology at the Mayo Clinic. Fellowship in Nuclear Medicine and Nuclear Magnetic Resonance at Rush Medical Center in Chicago, where he served as an adjunct attending physician. Co-founder, Harvard Committee on American Foreign Policy. He is a retired nuclear physician with extensive knowledge of chemistry, optics, electrical, mechanical, and nuclear engineering. He has filed over 40 patent applications on over 100 inventions. 3 more of his invention proposals were accepted as entries in the NASA Tech Briefs Create the Future Design Contest. Right, you can access Harvey's sites and bio and all his listings of publications. If you go to physics website and click on his name, it will take you to his links. Thank you, folks, for your patience. So now I hand the microphone over to Harvey. Harvey, will you start doing your presentation with us now? Thank you.
Sure, Crystal. Forgive me for having this strange problem with the cell phone. I have to hold it up to my ear to hear you, but it's a delight to have the opportunity to present some of my discoveries to a sophisticated group. I am presently advocating global nuclear disarmament again. I started this path with Dr. Helen Caldicott, who founded the Physicians for Social Responsibility organization back in the late 70s, early 80s. Dr. Caldicott was responsible for holding Reagan's hand and convincing him that Star Wars was not necessarily the best idea, and the partial disarmament of the nuclear weapons between Gorbachev and Reagan that took place back during their administrations took us away from the probability that we were heading towards a nuclear war back then. And technology understanding is taking me to a belief that the time has come for us to stop pointing nuclear weapons at each other that are controlled by mentally ill older people who have their fingers 6 inches from the button. We are presently in a situation where I have discovered that it's really surprisingly simple, though it requires some alloys and other understanding. It's surprisingly simple to take these weapons grade bombs that are on top of intercontinental ballistic missiles and prepared to be dropped by our B-1 bombers and the like around the world, and turn them into electrical power in an age where we are desperately in need of electrical power for the problems that are coming from the ice age that may be coming as a result of this global warming stuff being mostly politically motivated nonsense. I am going to entertain everybody's opinion on that. My own work is involved in radiation safety and the creation of safety domes over nuclear power plants that could potentially capture a Fukushima or a Chernobyl-like accident. I'm just going to flash some, in the absence of the connection I was hoping, I'm going to flash some diagrams that I have filed for patent of various means of erecting protective domes over nuclear plants that could capture the gases until circumferentially located 32 blade, 15-foot diameter fan spinning at 1600 RPM could capture the gases coming out from the reactor and pass them into antimatter reactors that would render them A, non-radioactive, and B, would generate a huge amount of electricity from one of these installations, which is predicted at this point by physics to produce 52 billion watts per installation. Your best nuclear power plant on the planet produces 2.5 billion watts. The windmills that are supposedly the green initiative that is being created by AOC and Kamala and Biden and all these other green new-agers produce 1/35,000th the power of one of these plants, which means that one of these 500-foot diameter, 135-foot tall proposed power plants produces equivalent electric power to 35,000 windmills with much, much, much less land. And the windmills, by the way, they produce at most 3.5 kilowatts. I'm sorry, 3.5 megawatts, 3.5 million watts. The invention that I'm proposing produces 52 gigawatts or 52 billion watts. It's about 35,000 times the predicted power that would come from a collection of windmills that would take up a huge amount of land and whose blades and other equipment is not necessarily producing much more power than it takes to create them. They aren't really a good green initiative, and Trump was right. The windmills do kill birds, but in addition, they're not a very good solution to global warming, and global warming isn't the problem. So you have to address most energy problems and most problems of mankind in terms of what's going to kill us. We're not going to die for lack of electricity except in the winter. In the summer, this present period of global warming is predicted by many good scientists to disappear because the carbon-based alleged global warming event isn't really true. Carbon actually is good for the environment when you are lacking plants. We are in a situation where not only is it true, but it has been shown that the higher carbon atmosphere that could be produced if we kept cars on the road and allowed the carbon to go up, not only will restore the Earth's balance in oxygen, but also produces healthier plants for humans and others that eat them. The plants love CO2. They're not too fond of chlorofluorocarbons or methane, which are the main true gases that are causing the present climate change. Chlorofluorocarbons come from where? Any volunteers? Where, in the absence of spray cans anymore, what is causing the high chlorofluorocarbon issue that caused the ozone hole in the first place? Does anybody know? It's the refinement of raw uranium by centrifuges to increase the amount of U-235, which is the fissionable isotope in raw uranium, to nuclear power and weapons levels. Nuclear weapons have as much as 50% U-235 versus U-238, or they're powered by plutonium-239. Does anybody know where plutonium-239 comes from? Anyone want to raise a hand or say something? Plutonium-239 is only produced in nuclear reactors. Sirens are going off in spiritual harmony with this message here. We need to consider that a single mistake by a single dictator who is undergoing a bad day or has Alzheimer's or is drugged up on his billions of dollars with the cocaine or meth or what do they call it? The adrenochrome or the other things that are used by extremely rich, immoral people could potentially lead to the mutation of our present viral milieu, where we have in epidemic proportions viruses that are killing healthy people and bacteria, the flesh-eating bacteria that aren't being talked about much. But what happens if one of those mutates to an incurable flesh-eating bacteria, or that possibly is transmitted by breath? We can't predict what would happen if our virally and bacterially and parasitically infected population that is that way because we aren't paying attention to nutrition and mineral depletion from acid rain and the like. If, God forbid, we have a nuclear accident like Fukushima or Chernobyl with downwind spread to, say, California or New York or Illinois or any other unfortunate downwind country or downwater country, where the water or the air is contaminated by such an unprotected accident, we could end up with a mutation that is lethal to the human population in general. And that's just a risk we can't take anymore. We've reached a point in human evolution where consciousness has to get beyond the kill or be killed attitude. We have to take away from the powerful military industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about the power of spending most of our money on weapons that kill each other. In an era where we have so many desperate needs as a human population to come together as one, I am an advocate that we take the weapons off the warheads and agree to give a reward for each weapon that is converted into fuel for these future nuclear power plants. And I might add, these plants that I propose will run on U-235, U-238, plutonium-239, or thorium-232. Any of these fuels will power these reactors at 72,000 times more efficiency than present nuclear fission. And by the way, everybody's counting on fusion to be around the corner because everybody and his brother that's banking on the high profits that are being made by fusion multimillionaire, billionaire characters who are misrepresenting that it's around the corner are ignoring the general consensus that, number one, there's not enough tritium to take care of fueling planet Earth. Once the ITER reactor is introduced in 2030, which is their projected time, they've got about a year of fuel, at which point there's no more tritium. Also, they're heating up in these tokamaks and in laser fusion hydrogen to 100 million degrees Fahrenheit. And they don't have materials to convert that 100 million degrees, hotter than the sun by far, into boiling water to power the turbines that they're projecting will ultimately produce the spin torque to turn the generators to create the electricity that could be produced instead by any of the radioisotopes, and especially from the radioisotopes that are being used to create weapons. When you centrifuge raw uranium, U-238 and 235, you separate the U-235 from the U-238 because they are of different weights and densities. The U-238 goes to the periphery of the centrifuge faster and the U-235 slower, as a result of which you can enrich the ordinary 0.7% U-235 that's found in the ore to 9 or 25 or 50% to power the nuclear weapons or modular nuclear power plants that everybody thinks is the solution. Modular nuclear plants are not a good solution. They're going to produce enough waste to require a Yucca Mountain-sized depository be built every 5 years. That's not a good solution. Yucca Mountain, which was picked as the very best possible location, got ruled out because they detected that there are aquifers underneath and that it is not a safe place to put the radioactive waste. There are various solutions to solving the radiation waste proposals to solve the waste problem that include one of mine that involves launching the radioactive waste into solar orbit with an evacuated tube that has a bunch of electromagnets and does not require rockets to launch a payload to Mars or to solar orbit or to Alpha Centauri for that matter. We need to join together and advocate as FESIG that the time has come for nuclear disarmament, because technology has been announced, soon to be proved, that will generate electric power from these weapons. And we have a senile leadership that should not be allowed to be in control of a button that could result in mutations that could end our race. That's the basic summary of the overall view. I can show you a couple of things that are of interest. This was the original drawing of a device to decontaminate the radioactive water at Fukushima that involved 6 magnets around 6 tubes in which vortexing water is oscillating alternatively in direction that contains a chelation agent that will trap the radioactive particulates and tritium in the magnetic field and adhere it to the pipes. Additional devices attached to this enable these magnets to be removed after harvesting. Here you can see inside the circles of the oscillating pipes the alternate direction of the vortices, because the water flow reverses direction and vortex direction at each end of the cylinder. And if you remove the magnets at the end of the harvesting, you can collect the radioactive material that was lost at Fukushima, but presently stored in the 100 million tons of radioactive water that the Japanese TEPCO organization is preparing to dump unfiltered into the Pacific Ocean, like they dumped the unfiltered water for, it's been over a dozen years since Fukushima took place. I have also described an expansible plastic barrier. Let me see if I have a picture or so of it. Here is a photo or a figure of a simplified drawing of an expansible plastic barrier outside of Fukushima that could capture the escaping radioactive water in the event of a future accident, until a filtration system can take that radioactive water out and render it non-radioactive. The other major invention that I have been working on is a matter-antimatter reactor. This is the first existing diagram of it, that involves 2 basketball-sized spheres. You can see in the center of the screen those 2 circles that are on a transparent aluminum rod, and a water tank below and a plasma reactor above. And those spheres are charged to just over 1 million volts, where they will emit positrons and alpha particles and protons in real time. Well, for those of you who understand a little atomic physics of matter and antimatter, when a positron encounters an electron, they annihilate each other and generate 2 high energy photons that can be captured and converted to heat. This invention was channeled from Nikola Tesla back in 1990, and it's taken 32 years to get to a point where I'm ready to manufacture. And if you want to pray for something, pray that Mr. Elon Musk not likes this invention and he will fund its manufacture, because I have sent Elon 17 pounds of paper, including these papers, which are up on my bookshelves, describing this matter-antimatter reactor and how we can prove for a few tens of millions of dollars that the weapons grade plutonium can be, in the words of Isaiah, they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their swords into pruning hooks, and neither shall they know war anymore. Time has come for us to love each other and disarm. You can quote me on that. Any comments or questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Harvey. Well, we have here AJ Bola, whom I talked to you about, who is very interested in having a conversation with you regarding the components that he's putting together to make a material, that a very specialized material that is light but very strong. AJ, over to you.
Yes, hi. Hi, Dr. Harvey, how are you?
I'm
AJ,
good.
here.
I'm
you hear
being
me?
optimistic right now that things are going to work out for us all. Do you know the difference between an optimist, a pessimist, and an engineer?
Yes.
AJ, would you put your camera on, or you rather
Okay.
not? Mhm.
Yeah, because no, hold on. My camera is not. It's not closed. Give me 1 second. Let me take a look. What's camera here? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Can
that's better. Thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, Dr. Harvey. My grandfather was working with Tesla. He came here 1894 from India. Hello.
Yes, I'm listening.
So he came here to see Tesla. He brought one plate project to show Tesla, and Tesla was very kind of like, he got very irritated with him, upset with him why he brought this plate. He said, listen, you are a kid. I have big those tower build up here, and I'm not interested to see your project, So he didn't listen to him, but he said, you came here to see me. If you want to work with me, you can work with me. So 1894, he started working with Tesla. My grandfather was very young that time. And he worked with him a couple of years. Many times Tesla, I see nighttime, my grandfather was working with his project, but Tesla was not interested in that project. He always working on this tower and all this thing. And when his tower got demolished, which was 1917, 4th of July, that was the date his tower got demolished. Tesla came to my grandfather and he was crying. He asked him, why this happened to me? What did I did something wrong? I want to help people. Why they did that to me? So my grandfather told him, because you are big mouth, you always talking to people, saying you have this. You're not asking, you're not looking people. They don't want to. They don't want your plan to go inactive. Okay, to help people. They don't want to help people. They want to make money on people. Okay, they're not interested to give free electricity. They don't love anybody. They don't care. Okay, they just want to make money. So Tesla was kind of like very depressed, sad, crying always. And finally he asked, he said, do you remember you brought those plates to me? Let me see how they're different from my project. Tesla asked him. So my grandfather told him, listen, these plates, they're very small. Nobody can, they are very, very small. Anybody can have it in their home. Nobody can see outside. Anybody can control them. They can move anywhere they want. Not like your tower, big tower. You cannot move them. Okay. So he said, that's the reason I brought to show you. And finally, Tesla find out my grandfather was right. You want to make those plates, you don't put nothing inside, no smoke, no moving part, no emission, you make electricity. So finally, 1925, he started working with my grandfather, but my grandfather told him, we don't want to make any paper, no data, and you're not going to talk to no one, okay? we're going to be very quiet. We're going to build this plate, okay? So they start working. 1936, the plate was done. Project was done. And here we go, Tesla start talking to people, okay? So my grandfather told him, listen, I told you, we're not going to talk. And if you're playing this game, I'm going to leave, okay? These people are going to kill you. They don't want to hear you. They're not interested to see any of your project. They wanted your knowledge because your government do not have knowledge like you. You are a very knowledgeable person. You have more knowledge than this government. They wanted your info, okay? They're going to kill you. So 1939, my grandfather left. He went back to India. India was that time colony of English people. In 1943, Tesla got killed. Everybody know that. FBI went inside, take his paper, take his everything. It's gone. But when my grandfather went back to India, after 1 year, there was a World War happened. In 1947, India got divided. The area he was living, they declared the area Pakistan. So he had to move, they had to leave everything, become refugee, no money, no home, no job, no food. So they came this part of the India, they call India now, okay? But he want to build those plates, but he don't know home, no money, nothing. So they were trying to establish themselves. And here he had a friend in New Orleans. He was contact with him. So he came 1968 with me. He brought me here with him. I was only 8 years old that time. I was not even 8 years old. So he brought him there. They wanted to show that plate to somebody. They were interested to buy, but that deal doesn't go through, okay? And my grandfather got sick. And during that time, there was 3 guys. They were coming to my grandfather asking him to show the plate. You know, the guy, my grandfather had a friend they were neighbor. They were asking him, threatening him, we want to see your plate. You're not going to get out from here until you show us the plate. We can come and, rob that plate. Better you show us, So when my grandfather got sick, they came behind him, beat me up, take the plate and gone, okay? So they were threatening me. If I tell my grandfather the place gone robbed, they're going to kill him too. So I was afraid. I was a kid. I didn't tell him what happened. And my grandfather went back to India. He didn't check his luggage. He was thinking the plate's in. So when he went there back, he opened his luggage. There was no plate. So he got very upset. And he asked me why I didn't tell him. I say, I was afraid. I showed my back. It was black and blue. They beat me up. I was afraid they're going to kill him. So then he called back here, his friend, New Orleans. So he told him, okay, send me an affidavit on your behalf. We're going to file the complaint to the police that's what happened. But after he sent the affidavit here, my grandfather passed away with a stroke. He was 90 years old that time, 90, okay? So that's the story of plate. So since that time, when I grew up a little bit, I tried to track this guy between these 3 guys. One person, I tracked the guy, he's in the Midwest. He still have that plate, okay? And I saw that, I went back, we tried to contact that guy back again. He had that plate. It producing electricity. This place is like, you can say 1 foot by 20 inch long, 1 foot wide. It producing electricity, okay? They're using ground also with inside, okay, ground. So I know the plate, I don't know how the coil connected inside. So I'm working on it to get those things done. The reason I was talking to Crystal, are you familiar with the Maxine? I think your camera got disconnected. Hello?
Are you talking to me, AJ?
Yes, I'm talking to you, Dr. Harvey.
I am.
Your camera got disconnected.
Let me see if I can fix that. Yeah. Can you see me now? Okay.
Yes. Can you see me?
I can see you fine. Yeah. I am not familiar with this plate or with the vaccine that you're talking about. Do you
No
know
vaccine,
anything about
MXENE, Maxine. Maxine, they are
vaccine?
titanium carbide. They synthesize them, okay?
This is an alloy that produces electricity itself.
I'm talking about the titanium carbide. They synthesize that one, but my idea to a coating on the alloy that produces electricity.
What coating did you have in mind, if you can say it?
Maxine, we call titanium carbide. It's called Mi3 C2 MX. That's the chemical equation name, you know. Mi3.
Yes. I'll have to look this up and do some research, AJ. You're talking about an aspect of Tesla that is, like many other things, channeled information and involves a technology that may come from another planet. I am blessed to have a set of information from Tesla that involves the recreation of the Wardenclyffe Tower that is based upon this slam dome that I've discovered how to make. And there will be someday a resurrection of the Wardenclyffe project. That will happen probably 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah, very good. So I'm over 60. He was teaching me, my grandfather teaching me when I was 4.5 years old. He teaching me until I was 8 years old when he passed away. But that unfortunately happened. But when he was dying, he wanted me to promise with him I was going to get those plates back. So that's why I was tracking this guy. Finally, I tracked him 2010. I don't know what he did with these two guys, but this guy's alive. He's 80 some years old now, but he still has a plate. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to get this affidavit from India, my grandfather's affidavit copy, so we can talk to a lawyer, because he have his name on affidavit and his statement. They are notarized in a court, 1968, okay? So my lawyer want to see those papers to sue this guy, okay? I'm working on those one, but I'm afraid because there's only one prototype. I'm a little afraid if this guy destroy the prototype and he say, you know what, screw yourself, I don't have nothing here, you're not gonna get nothing, okay? So
AJ, I wish you luck. What I would recommend, based upon my understanding of law, is that you need to petition a judge to have a court order for the law enforcement agency of the country to confiscate the plate for a judicial examination as to who actually should own it. And you need to not go through lawyers. You need to go straight to the Attorney General of the state or to the top law enforcement officers. Is this plate now in India or in the United States?
Here in the U.S. That guy
It's
have
in
it.
the U.S. In that
Yeah,
case, I would get an attorney to help you formulate a letter to the Attorney General of whatever state has the plate is presently being confiscated in, and you need to have the FBI or police agency empowered by a judicial order to search for and find the plate and confiscate it to the court.
okay. Yeah, I'm getting those papers soon from India, okay? Those affidavit that time, they are notarized in a court order. I mean, their complaint and statement, my grandfather's statement, he have in my name, how old I was, that plate taken away from me, from me that date, and by these three people have his name on. So I'm getting those papers.
You want to put that assault on the record too. Is there any pictures or any witnesses that saw the wounds?
No, there was only myself that time. But
All right,
but
well, you
my
can still do your word against his. You want to include that too. I'll talk to you more about that later. Yeah, I agree
Okay.
with what he flipped 5G said.
What
But you
happened
want to
now?
add the assault. You can still
Yeah.
go after him for the assault, even though he's 90.
Okay.
Okay, I yield.
Getting back to other technologies, there are a lot of things that are being brought into awareness, manifestation, publication, and the like that produce electricity. There is everything from wind to waves. Some of them are bad. Wind generators presently with their 3-blade ridiculous wind supplies are not the solution in my humble opinion. And we are heading towards a future where electricity will become a right of citizenship as an automatic consequence of it being someday produced in such abundance that it costs, as they predicted, nuclear would someday cost next to nothing compared to the advantages it offers society. The right to have heat, the right to have refrigeration, air conditioning, the right to having a fresh water supply, and all the other things that have brought us into the 21st century are things that haven't filtered into the economic system where you're paying $400 a month for your electricity. And
I
that eventually will change, whether it's from the Tesla tower or from power that is so cheap at the socket. It will eventually change because we will eventually have the technical ability to produce so much electricity that it'll be a part of citizenship, a part of the tax structure, a part of existence that you buy a house and it has electricity. In the meantime, there's a lot of competition for solar and wind and all those dollars, and you've got idiots like Ocasio-Cortez and Kamala Harris and Biden that are pushing this alleged green agenda that does not have the intelligence of this FESIG group or the other scientists who are looking seriously on, are we really going to go back to the horse and buggy? You know, that buggy whip manufacturer who was the top buggy whip manufacturer in the world saw the writing on the wall when Henry Ford's first Model T rolled off the line. There is a point where the buggy whip, the windmills, and my dad's solar. Solar is getting cheaper, but it also takes up a lot of land and it requires a lot of petroleum to create, and they expire in their life expectancy after 15 or 20 years, whereas this matter-antimatter reactor could go on for the next millennia. It's made of materials that are non-rustable. Transparent aluminum is a very inert material. The entire plant is made from this or its derivative alloys, and it has a melting temperature of 4,500 degrees C. It cannot be cut or burned once it is made. It's permanent, so you have to be careful what you make because it cannot be recycled. It is extruded and it is cast into domes and buildings and matter-antimatter reactors and hyperloop tubes and future high-temperature reactor components and the like. But once you've cast them and once you've extruded them, like the windmills, they're kind of permanent. Those windmills will be around for the next 1,000 years in junkyards. There's no way to recycle them. They don't produce enough power to even justify putting them up. But we haven't reached the state of consciousness where we agree to burn up the nuclear weapons and stop producing useless things that are making money for people who don't understand physics, chemistry, biology, or electricity. We need to collectively work on this global nuclear disarmament project, and I put forth the FESIG that I have proposed to you folks, perhaps first in a public venue, that we have the technology to make these weapons obsolete and sources of electricity, and also to obsolete the refinement process, the enrichment process that makes the nuclear weapons, because these reactors don't require enrichment. You can use raw uranium, thorium, or reactor-produced plutonium right off the bit without enriching the content of U-235. It's just not necessary because the process of producing electricity comes from charging these spheres of radioactive material, these basketball-sized spheres, to just over 1 million volts, where they readily emit positrons, antimatter. And if you can produce antimatter, like the Starship Enterprise and the other future projections, The antimatter is the source of future infinite power. If you can produce it by burning up nuclear weapons, why the heck not? You can quote me on that too.
Thank you, Harvey. Harvey actually has filed about 50 preliminary patents to date. And many of Harvey's inventions relate to 3 alloys whose structure has been announced in the last meeting that he spoke at FESIG, the 88th FESIG meeting, about a year ago, isn't it? Yeah. And most of Harvey's inventions revolve around making electricity and nuclear power plants safer. So I thought, with your wealth of knowledge, Harvey, in your field of expertise, you could offer some assistance to AJ's questions on his Maxine's material. Is it okay, AJ, for me to mention what it's about?
Yes.
In material science, you're saying Maxine's are a class of 2-dimensional inorganic compounds. And these materials consist of a few
titanium
atoms.
carbide. Okay, titanium carbide, the process they do, equal processing called synthesize, okay? The chemical term is a Ti3C2TX, okay? So Ti3 titanium carbide, I think they're 3 ratio and carbon 2, and the time that the last one, because I'm not a educated with those material science, okay? So this is nanotechnology, okay? I'm looking like nanotechnology teacher, so I can take some classes and start making myself, okay?
So I would like to say, if Harvey's not going to be able to give you the complete solution to this gap that you have, perhaps because this is recorded, this meeting, we can call upon these people who are specialized in the nanotechnology science to come and help you. Yeah, because our videos reach out to thousands. Yeah.
Yeah.
AJ, could you give me the formula one more time?
Ti3, T as a Tom, I as India, 3.
Ti3, okay.
T2.
T2.
No, C as a Charlie.
C2.
C2. TX.
Okay.
T as a Tom, X as X-ray.
Okay, well, that's titanium, carbon, and what is TX?
Titanium carbide. Titanium carbide, carbon 2 as the ratio. So this.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I will see what I can do to research this and get back to you through Crystal. We're talking apples and oranges, though. This type of technology you're mentioning might be very important for portable sources of electricity, like cars and planes and boats and the like.
See that. Let me tell you something, Dr. Harvey. I'm working on it 3 different wire. So 3 different wire. One is a wire superconductor. Okay, 3 different wire. What actually happened? They are so fine. They can sense that heat, sound, light. All they can sense. They can produce electricity from them with the heat, sound, and light. And as a 4th other one, I'm not going to disclose right now, but I'm working on the 3 different wire. Once I have wire done, the wire, once it does that, it generates the electricity. The wire is at the coil. You don't put nothing inside, okay? You don't put nothing inside. These wire, they are able to generate electricity. I'm working on those one.
You might confer with Crystal about the work of Larry Woods, who is also, Larry Woods is another member of FESIG who is working on non-moving part electrical sources for powering houses and the grid.
Okay, you have my phone number. I put my phone number in the chat page.
I'll find it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, AJ. We're going to move on. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got to Well, because this is recorded and it's going to be published, I just wanted to call out to those nanotechnologies. If you could come forth to FESIG, contact me, crystal@truevisionofpeace.com. We'll be able to put you together to help develop what AJ wants to develop. Right. Thank you so much, AJ. Right. Over to you, co-chair Fres.
Thank you, Crystal. Hello, Harvey. I really enjoy your open and your comment of general political part of individuals that are running the world right now, both here in the United States and around the world. I love the way you presented that. The notion of converting nuclear waste into an electrical byproduct is great. And we see the process of removing that threat, which is an environmental hazard forever, through your technology. What I'm going to add, the question I have for you right now is, what is the steps that FESIG needs to do to help with this process that you're going on? Is it, are we doing petitions? Are we signing? Are we writing letters? What is FESIG's position do you think we need to do for you?
I think I may be able to help there, Fres.
Okay.
You remember we got this funding thing, we're going to build incubators to incubate inventors like Harvey, with what he wants to do. Yeah. If it's not costing too much money and we are in a capacity to assist with our incubator, we certainly would do so.
Yeah, the reason I asked it that way, Crystal, is because, as you know, we're on a strict budget of 0, unfortunately. And and Harvey is moving ahead like crazy and doing a lot of work in line of patents and that type of stuff. But we end up with, as a platform, we also put out these monthly videos, and we have an ear around the world that could help facilitate attitude. And that's what I was wondering, is this an attitude thing that we can help you with right now? And what type of ideas do you want to do, Harvey?
I would commend the members of FESIG to look up some of these inventions on the web under Harvey Kaplan Create the Future. If you look up Harvey Kaplan Create the Future entrant profile, you can see 9 of my previous inventions in the NASA Tech Briefs Create the Future Design Contest. And once you've had a chance to look at them, write a letter to the head of NASA Tech Briefs, whose name is Joe Pramberger. Mr. Pramberger is Pramberger, first name Joe. And he is the president of the SAE Media Group, which you can find on Google. Write a letter to him saying, we would like to commend you to take a look at the 88th FESIG discussion with Dr. Harvey Kaplan regarding his inventions and the, what is it, the 92nd today? What is the number of this presentation, Crystal?
This is the 104th FESIG meeting
104th
on the 7th of September.
Forgive me for not being caught up, but if you could write Mr. Pramberger and suggest Dr. Kaplan's inventions have been shown to us on video, and your judges might want to look at our tapes before they award this year's award for the NASA Tech Briefs contest. I've entered that contest 11 times, and on the 8th entry, which was this transparent aluminum slam dome, I lost to a pomegranate seed picker from Pakistan. I proposed a matter-antimatter reactor under a transparent aluminum dome using room temperature superconductors and burning nuclear weapons, and it lost the popular contest to a device from Pakistan that picks seeds out of pomegranates.
I also want to add to that, Harvey. Folks, if you're listening and watching this and it interests you, please go to our YouTube channel. I think that's where Harvey's 88th meeting recording is at. And then you'll be able to see the links as well that I have put in the description, as well as going to our website, the truevisionoffice.com/physics.html. Whenever you scroll down and you see, you're able to locate Harvey's name, or even in the current announcement in our website for Harvey's presentation today, you're able to click on his name to bring you to his website, and you'll be able to see his whole list of publication listed in that site. Thank you, Harvey. Back to you.
Well, my last name for reference is Kaplan. You'll find me under the NASA Tech Briefs design contest under Harvey Kaplan, Create the Future.
Yep.
I think Abe Lincoln once said the best way to change the future is to create it.
Precisely.
Not sure it was Abe Lincoln, but someone said that. And I've been blessed with an awesome education and a heart that loves humans and doesn't want this planet to end stupidly. We're heading in such a ridiculous direction in so many different planes right now that we need to collect this group of intelligences and focus on a few problems. And I think the biggest problem that we need to focus on is preventing a nuclear accident or a World War III event that could cause a lethal mutation that causes all sorts of horrible and incurable problems. We already have the horrible and incurable problems just from the vaccines. Appreciate that some of us unfortunately had them, and I pray for everyone that we have a solution that will generate longevity and the right to enjoy this third dimension for all of us.
Well said, Harvey. Right.
Yeah, but it might not be an accident.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have a
Maybe on
question.
purpose.
Yeah.
Harvey,
it's
can
not
I
an
ask
accident. Oh, I agree. It's not an
Harvey,
accident. It's deliberate.
two points that about your invention? Does it matter of the age of the device? Because a lot of them are like old and expired. And what about one that already went off and blew up a tank? Is there anything to be done for that, to extract out of that where the depleted uranium exploded already? You're talking pre-exploded munitions, correct?
Correct. Disarming the weapons that could otherwise be used to kill people.
Yeah, okay. And anything to be done for the ones that already were used to kill people and polluted the land where kids go and play on those old tanks?
They say for everyone who dies, there's a birth date and a death date on the tombstone interrupted by a dash. And that dash is the most important thing in the world, how you spend the time between birth and death. We have to dedicate ourselves to using our dash to help everybody else, the successors, the children, the great-grandchildren, and the like. And we need to be aware that we have reached a point in evolution where this kill or be killed mentality that has created the perpetual wars that are draining our coffers of things that could create longevity, harmony, peace, and joy instead need to be rethought. Rethought by people who see the potential of a success in an alternative means other than manufacturing weapons to kill each other, as 90% of our budget that's stolen by the Pentagon every year is a result of laws that are based upon might versus right thinking that goes back to the 12th century. We're not in that state anymore. We're interdependent with each other. If, God forbid, something happens between US and China or China and Taiwan, our predicted comfortable existence here remote from those things could end. I don't want to see that happen. We have too much promise and too much possibility of meeting with other ET and having a universe of harmony where people help each other and share information that help them live long and happy lives that need to be protected by avoiding and eliminating the tragic present direction towards global mutually assured destruction. Mutually assured destruction may have kept us out of the World War III and successfully brought us up to the age of Reagan, but Reagan and Gorbachev had it right. are highly to be admired for preventing World War III in those days. And Gorbachev will go down in the history books as a far greater hero than Putin ever will. That's for sure.
Right. Right, Harvey, I've got to, well, get Fres to the co-chair to open up to the floor for question and answers.
Yeah, thank you, Crystal. Harvey, we've got one question from Matthew, and his first part question is, does asbestos building materials block forms of radiation?
That's a very good question. And the answer is only alpha and beta radiation, not gamma.
Okay.
Gamma goes right through just about anything except for neutronium. Neutronium was made famous in the Star Trek episode where William Wyndham drives his space shuttle into a planet killer device that is encased in pure neutronium, and he blows up the matter-antimatter reactor of his space shuttle and attempt to destroy this machine that had eaten all of the spaceships of his crew, killed all of his multiple spaceship crew. And that was an inspiration for me to research what could potentially block phaser radiation and block a matter-antimatter reactor explosion. And the answer is an alloy that is a derivative of transparent aluminum that has lead in it.
Okay.
This lead-enriched transparent aluminum has 75 times the radiation resistance, the linear attenuation coefficient of elemental lead. What that means is that a 1 millimeter thick sheet of neutronium is going to be equivalent to 7.5 centimeters of lead in terms of protecting us from radiation from nuclear wastes, of allowing us to travel in space through radiation storms and to survive on other planets where the radiation issue is going to cause cancers otherwise. So the answer is no on asbestos, yes on neutronium, and it's a future investment opportunity that you people are learning about before other people.
Well, thank you much.
Wow.
That basically
Awesome.
takes care of the second part and the third part of his question. Very good. Thank you, Harvey.
My
Thank
pleasure.
Harvey.
Back to you, Crystal.
Yeah. Oh, well, is there any other question? Last chance, folks, just unmute yourself like Scott did and fire away with your question to Harvey. No, AJ, does it help you what Harvey just saying, which was pretty awesome?
You have to unmute.
Oh,
Harvey.
AJ's muted. Yeah. I can't do the unmuting. Pontus has to. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. AJ.
Hey, Pontus.
Hello. You're muted still, AJ.
Okay, now it's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reality is coexisting, okay? See, when human lost their essence, they become something else, okay? Because all this ugly selfishness, okay? When we are ugly selfishness, we have to drop the idea and start looking why we are here. We're not gonna live here too long, okay? So when we leave, what do we carry with us, okay? What thing we carry with us? No material, no money, no diamond, no home, no car, no body. We carry only one thing, okay? Love and harmony. That's what we carry, okay? So we had to, I like his idea, and I have the same idea too, okay? That's the reason I'm working on those things, okay? To helping people, and why we came here, we look at that part, and we not to look at those being ugly, selfish, and arrogant, and attacking people, other people, being violent, okay? So we make those choices, and when we leave with peace, okay? Peace of mind. We didn't cause any destruction. We didn't cause any killing and pain to the people. That's my idea.
Thank you, AJ.
Yeah. So we are inviting questions for Harvey before we close. Folks, anybody has any last questions? AJ
I
had
have a-
his last say.
I have a
Okay.
joke.
Yes, go
Oh.
on, Harvey.
A woman is approached by a funeral director at the funeral of her husband. And the funeral director says, did your husband have any last wishes before he passed away? She says, well, why, yes, he did. And there was a long pause, and funeral director says, well, what were his last wishes? And there's another long pause, and she said, well, he asked me to put down the gun. We all have guns pointed at each other's heads right now. And
Yes.
the time has come to put down the guns and repudiate this reduction of police force and reduction of safety issues. I'm not for a violation of the Second Amendment, but I think that people who have committed crimes, and even those who haven't committed crimes that are in power of pressing a button that could kill us, need to be disempowered by political action of educated scientists. Be nice if we had the Aristotelian meritocracy in our government, but unfortunately, with vote stealing and with the other things that go on, we live in a calistocracy. And unfortunately, that means we're being governed by those who are least qualified. So those of us who are most qualified need to stand up and speak out. If you want to share my tape, please feel free. If you want to connect to me through Crystal, I'd be happy to talk to any group about these things. And I'd be delighted if we can, as a collective group, move towards some political actions that will disarm this planet from potential suicide. It's atomic suicide. Helen Caldicott has just written a book that I recommend to everyone that is called Sleepwalking into Armageddon. We are asleep and the gun's at the head, and we've got people who are capable of pressing a button and wiping out every man, woman, and child and every good thing that God created. And we have to stand up and say, no, the time has come for us to evolve as a species into one that doesn't kill each other. May it be so.
Well said, Harvey. I think you really set the tone for the, well, the adjournment of this meeting to the next one on the 5th of October. Please pen down in your diary for our 105th FESIG meeting. So there being no other business, this meeting is now adjourned to the 105th meeting on the 5th of October.
I still
Thank
have
you
a
so much,
question.
Harvey. I just adjourned the meeting.
Harvey, right around the time that you appeared last time, Trump released superconductors at room temperature. I was never able to find it because of the censorship. Have you seen what he released to the public? He released some anti-gravity stuff. He definitely released a superconductor at room temperature, and then I was never able to find it.
Pontus, would you turn the video off, please?
Yeah.